Hello and welcome to the Unlock Your Life Purpose Summit. I am your host, Lorna Moon, and today we have the pleasure of welcoming Audreia Josephs. Audreia is an award-winning author. She's a life coach, an intervention strategist, and an empowerment speaker. Forgiveness and self-love is a really big part of her work, and she'll explain why shortly. She has been featured on Voice newspaper and BBC Radio West, and she has won the Womanhood Global Best Author Award for 2016. So let's welcome Audreia.
Thank you. Thank you for the welcome. Very honored.
So great to have you. So Audreia, I am familiar with your story, and you have an amazing story of how you've gotten to this place. Know that you were not born with a silver spoon in your mouth and were not ushered in to all this wonderful fame and spotlight just, with your winning smile. You definitely had to earn it. So why don't you share your story? I know it's just so impactful. So please share your story.
Okay, thank you so much for the invitation, as I said again. Yeah, my name's Audrey Joseph. I was born in the UK. I am the first generation to what you may have heard the word Windrush. My father came to the UK in the 60s, closely followed by my mother. Well, my father was here in the 50s. My mother came in the 60s. She just got to the UK in 1960. And automatically she found out that as soon as she got here, she was pregnant with me. And my father actually did not inform my mother that he had met someone else and was living with them, and left my mother before she even announced that she was pregnant. So that was a difficult life.
Yeah, that's not very nice.
Yeah. So he left her. She was in a strange country. She didn't know anyone. She didn't have any family or friends. So you could imagine the fear that she'd gone through. Well, that fear, what happened, turned into anger towards me. I was born on a bathroom floor.
Oh, wow.
And born on the bathroom floor. And what happened in the 60s, I was born in 1961, in the UK, if you was an unmarried mother, they would take your child away. So my mother bounded some fabric around her belly and pretended that she wasn't pregnant and went to work.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what happened was, when she gave birth to me, someone who she was working with, his wife had a baby, and he came into the hospital and saw my mother with a baby, shocked. Rolling on. What happened was, my mother sent for her brother to come to the UK in Jamaica. He came and he pretended to be her husband, so that they didn't take me away. Yeah. So he pretended, in public, he would hold the baby, whatever. So he became, pretend daddy. Rolled on, as I say. And she actually developed a dislike for me, simply because of the treatment of my father, because she didn't find my father until I was 2 years old. And when she did actually find my father, she rolled up to the house, got in there, and found out he had another child.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, not good.
Yeah. So, from that day, all the anger that she had towards him came towards me. So rolling forward, I was 6 years old, and she started beating me, battering me. And this continued for 10 years. I suffered a lot of head injuries, broken ribs. She would treat me appallingly, absolutely appallingly. And in the interim, she had other children, and she never treated them that way. Now, the new partner that she had, he molested me at the age of 3. My apologies. He molested me at the age of 3 and sexually abused me at the age of 8.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was dealing with being a battered child and being sexually abused. So I had all the abuses, the emotionally, mentally, physical abuse.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. So moving forward from that, you know, obviously with all this dysfunction, I wasn't making wise decisions in my life.
How could
Um,
you?
I met someone at the age of 16, proceeded to have a child with him at 18. Um, we both ended up in a cult kind of church.
A church
Um,
cult.
yeah, yeah. We were told that we should get married. So at the age of 20, I was a married woman, you know, not
Mm-hmm.
knowing myself, not knowing what I was doing. And that was that he was a great father, but not a suitable husband. And
Mm.
the marriage ended up breaking, and I had to get away from the cult as well. And so um, I ended up wanting to leave, but the argument and the fight that ensued, he ended up with my children.
Mm.
By now, I'd got two more children, so I had three boys.
Wow.
Yeah, and he ended up with my children. Very emotional when I remember. So you have to excuse me, just the echoes and residue of the past. Um, anyway, I got to the stage in my life where I knew I needed counseling. I knew I needed some sort of therapy and
Mm.
was not sure where to go for that therapy because at that time, you know, I just didn't have an idea. I didn't know where to look. So I saw a course at university
Mm-hmm.
and it was a counseling course. So I decided to go and do a counseling degree because I thought I'll become my own counselor.
Become my own counselor. Here's a course. Here's where I can start. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'd gone to university, I started the basic course. And when I got there, they told me, no, you don't need to do the basic course. You're more advanced. I was like, whoa, no one ever told me I was advanced at anything, you know?
Wow.
So, yeah, there I was at university doing an advanced course, celebrating and somewhat enjoying, but still sad because I didn't have my children. Anyway, I decided because of all of this, friends, family said, you're doing so well, you're coping so well. Here's a trip to Jamaica. We'll pay for this. I've gone to Jamaica, had a good old time, you know, fantastic, and it was my first trip to Jamaica as well. It was the first time I'd ever been, and always wanted to go, obviously, because that's where my roots are from, my parents. And I've got brothers and sisters that were born there.
Mm-hmm.
And so gone to Jamaica, had a great time, was approached by someone, and he asked me, can you bring something back to the UK? And me in my naive state, yeah, sure, of course I can. Only to get to the UK and my case, and there is cocaine, class A drug
So
in
you
it.
didn't realize what you were bringing back to the UK.
So I
Or
ended up,
for this handsome guy who I'm sure was just like, oh, you're so beautiful.
yeah, it was all,
Here,
and
bring something for my auntie. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I've got back to the UK and stopped at the airport, and they're like, we're arresting you.
And
I was
you're
like,
like, for what?
huh? Huh? What? Yeah, we're arresting you. You carrying class A drug. And I was like, in shock. So, never been in trouble before in my entire life. This
Wow.
was a whole new journey. Get into prison. Well, you get into prison, and it's a whole new world, whole complete new world. And you've got women shouting. There's women who knew each other before, and and I'm like petrified.
It's
But
not
not so
like
much.
orange. It's not like Orange is the New Black, right?
No, it's not like Orange is the New Black. And I was put in a cell, and it was a dirty cell, and the officers kept walking past and they're looking. So even if you wanted to use the bathroom, the toilet, they were looking in every few minutes. And I just sat there all night in this dirty cell with a blanket over my shoulders. And the weirdest thing that I do remember out of all of that on my first night was there was a woman and she was singing, because at first it was all women shouting, loud, loads of noise. All of a sudden, this woman started singing. It was so beautiful and calming. And then
Wow.
she stopped, and then all the shouting started through the window again. But I found when I got into prison, I wasn't fearful for myself because I'd practiced martial arts for several years. So
Okay, well,
I
that's
could
good.
defend myself. So I was confident in that fact, that if anybody tried to approach me, I can defend this, but I'm not looking for any trouble. I'm
Hmm.
keeping myself quiet. So in prison, you've got 3 levels. Level 1, when you entry level 2, level 3. So I started doing stuff that I needed to do while I was in there, just complying with the rules, being a good girl, everything. And before I realized it, I didn't even go to level 2. I went straight up to level 3. And
Good.
level three enabled me now to move from the main wing onto an enhanced wing. So I went to an enhanced wing and I could get an enhanced job. This
Mm.
enhanced job meant you could get paid whilst you were in prison. So I got decent pay. But what happened was the officer that I worked with was just me and her. And she was telling me her problems, and I ended up counseling her, the inmate
Uh-huh.
counseling the prison warden. I thought that
Wow.
was weird. Yeah. But that's what happened. Not long after, I got recommended to go onto the Race Relations Board by the chaplaincy service. So there I was in prison making decisions on the Race Relations Board for women of color to implement, to bring in skincare products, hair care products, all these
Wow.
kind of things. I just found it absolutely amazing, and actually bringing in outside activities as well. Um, for 9 months, I didn't see my children. So there was an organization that came in called Prison Link, and they'd come and they'd speak to me and support me. And so I asked them if they'd bring my children in. Because they were a Christian organization, my children's father, ex-husband, decided that yes, he would allow my children to come to visit me with them.
Oh, that's
So, so what happened was, they came to visit me. Really weird it was, because I knew I'd lost a lot of face in front of my children. I knew they didn't really respect me anymore, and I actually didn't respect myself. Um, what happened was, because prison it was so good to me, I decided that when I come out of prison, I made a vow I would work voluntary for them.
hmm
Now, what happened was, I got an 8-year sentence, actually. I didn't say that on the top. When I was
okay.
sentenced, I received 8 years.
8 years.
8 years. But what happened was, my lawyer, I'll say lawyer for yourselves in England, it's solicitor,
Yes.
um, thought it was an unduly lengthy sentence. And
Hmm.
so he appealed it. And in the appeal, we went to court. I went before 5 judges, and they dropped my sentence by 3 years.
Wow.
I know that was a miracle, because no one in the whole entire prison had received so much of their sentence. I'd seen people come back with 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, but no one in the whole entire prison got 3 years off their sentence. And what happened was, that meant that I could move from a closed location, and they could put me in an open prison where I could work outside of the prison and earn money. And I only had 6 months left to do.
Yay.
Yeah, that was some amazing miracles started happening. But I also have to share that whilst I was in there, that I'm a prolific reader. I love reading. And I was actually introduced to Iana Van Damp's book whilst I was in there. And Maya Angelou, never ever heard of her. And it was one of the prison wardens who I said, I've read everything. I've read Bob Marley, Marcus Garvey, everything, Mills and Boons, all kind of traffic, you know. And I
Uh-huh.
just exhausted the library. And she said, "Have you ever heard of Maya Angelou?" No. She said, "Oh, you know, I'll get the books in for you." I started reading Maya Angelou, and my inspirational part of myself started kicking in. There was something that awakened within me.
Wow.
Anyway, as I was saying, got to this open prison, did my 6 months, worked outside, earned some money, had some money to come home with, came out, ended up living with my younger sister, um, started working for Prison Link. So now I'm in a space of gratitude to Prison Link, and they're having their annual general meeting, their AGM, and they asked me to speak. I speak at this AGM, and they say, and all of a sudden, I just spoke from the heart. I had not written anything, and I had this rousing applause. And I was like, what did I say? You know, what did I say? And the next day, I was offered a job from a councillor at Birmingham, like you would say a member of parliament, or I'm not sure what you call them in the States, but
Yeah,
in
kind
the
of like a
UK,
senator or
someone
something.
top, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like a senator. And she offered me a job. She was sitting in the audience. She just telephoned the office and said, "I'd like to offer that young lady a job." And we are friends ever since that day, 1998, when she offered me that job. We are friends today.
Wow.
Right. And she said, she encouraged me. She said, "Don't be ashamed. Everybody has skeletons, and don't let anyone put you down." And she lifted me and she gave me that job. She didn't even know if I could spell my name. And I became a mentoring coordinator. And ever since that day, I worked with refugees. I ended up on the radio. I ended up on the TV. And my whole journey, the trajectory of my journey,
Wow.
just shot and launched in a way that I didn't even imagine. I mean, can you imagine coming out of prison and everyone, friends, all kinds of people who knew you were in prison, and then in the next minute they're seeing you on the TV, the local news.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm getting like teared up.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So fast forward a few years later, and I meet this amazing woman called Dr. Ava Brown. She was
Ah,
holding a book summit, live one in my town. I'd seen her on the TV, and she said she was going to various different towns, and she came to my town, so I've gone there to meet her. And we became friends. And she supported me. I decided that I was going to write a book. I wrote this book. I'm dyslexic, by the way. So I need people to understand that I'm dyslexic. So I was never the studious, smart kid in the class. I
wow.
I wrote this book, 65,000 words in 6 weeks. I shut myself out of the sky. I wrote it even when I had a kidney infection. I had a kidney infection, doctor had to come in, and I was just like a woman possessed. I was on my laptop typing. I just kept writing and writing. I couldn't believe I did it. I could not believe me, Audrey, did it. It was such a shock. And that
Wow.
book just moved me in a stratospheric space where I trained as a counselor, I trained as a life coach, and now my key conversation is the art of letting go from a non-religious perspective, which is forgiveness. And my book is called Forgiveness, The Journey to Healing the Heart,
Wow.
because I realized that I had so much to forgive and to let go. And so I decided to forgive my mother, forgive my sexual abuser, forgive everyone, because it wasn't moving me forward. It wasn't serving my purpose. And I realized that I was destined for more.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
here I am today, celebrating this life, celebrating being an award-winning author, celebrating, doing, I wrote another book within the same year, which was about my prison experience, because at first I didn't want the world to know you've been to prison, because not everyone knew. So it wasn't something that I wanted to spread around the world. and
Mm-hmm.
I was encouraged and actually kind of outed to start talking about it because it was my secret shame, my secret,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people didn't know where I was. My mother was living in Florida, so a lot of people assumed I was in Florida.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I was in Florida.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Florida
And it was
prison.
easy.
Kind of the
It
same thing.
was easy to run with that story, you know.
Yeah.
But when I started talking about it, a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's in prison." But then what I realized was there was healing in me sharing my story with the world, just bringing it out. And there was also healing because once I'd spoken to groups of people and what have you, they would come in private and say, "Oh, I know someone who's been through this. Maybe it was them, but they didn't want to say it was them, or,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
support or whatever." And so a lot of people just came to me. In fact, that's been one of the biggest things why people speak to me because of my prison journey as well.
Isn't that amazing? It's like your biggest shame, like what you felt was your biggest shame and the thing you had to hide is
Mm-hmm.
what brings people to you because they need to see that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're just like, she didn't let it stop her. And
yeah.
I mean, you could have, if you were somebody who was looking for excuses, you had like a CVS. Well, if you're not familiar, in the United States, like CVS pharmacies, their receipts, even if you buy two things, for whatever reason, it's really long.
Okay,
You had a
okay,
CVS
okay.
receipts worth of length of reasons that you could say, I can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
What?
look at what all that you've done and all that you've healed from. And,
Yeah.
the forgiveness, like you said, the forgiveness, because if you're hanging on to those things, you can't, your hands closed to the other gifts that God, the
Mm,
universe, whatever you want to personally call it, has
mm-hmm,
for you. Because
mm-hmm,
you're
mm-hmm,
holding these
mm-hmm.
things.
Yeah.
When you let go, right?
Yes.
Then
And
you
you
can get
know,
the blessings poured in too.
I had no idea how freeing it was to release all these things to you. You have to understand that I held on to them for the best part of 40 plus years. Really toxic
Yeah.
anger towards a mother and father. And I feel blessed and grateful that I was able to, in my mother's lifetime, look in her eyes and say, I forgive you. I understand a woman who gives her power away to a man. I understand as a woman now, I understand the decisions that you made. I understand that you did your best with what you had. I understand that you didn't know any better. And it was easy to release it once I saw my mother as a child, broken, and my father and everybody who had done anything to me.
Oh.
Yeah, it became a powerful platform that I stand on today from a
Wow.
real place.
Wow. That
You
is,
know,
you know, I've done my own forgiveness work and I've been able to come to that place. But what I've overcome wasn't to the magnitude of what you have. And so for you to still be able to take the horrible things and you say, I understand, and see them not as this devil or this evil creature, but as a broken person who was hurt and struggling and hadn't done their own forgiveness work.
yeah,
They
yeah,
were coming from a broken place
yeah,
and doing the best that they can while filled with anger, self doubt, probably self loathing, guilt, shame, their own stuff.
yeah.
And coming from that broken place, they couldn't help but behave in a broken way. And for you to see that um,
It, it
is,
was,
we're both crying now.
it was
We're
such
both
a blessing.
crying.
When,
It's,
when my
um,
mum was dying, she was in the hospital. Excuse me. She was in the hospital and she was laying on the bed. I'd already told her that I'd forgiven her while she was conscious. We'd had the conversation. But it was such a blessing that I was able to whisper in her ear while she lay there unconscious, "Mommy, please, just go in peace. I forgive you."
Wow.
And
Wow.
it, it freed me in such a way that no one would understand. No one would understand. It gave me wings.
Yeah. Wow.
Please, excuse me.
No, it's it's powerful and and what you said, it reminds me of you're familiar with Reverend Michael Beckwith?
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
I saw him speak a couple of years ago, and he talked about, your parents. We elevate our parents to a higher level than us because they're our parents. But on the spiritual plane, we're all equal. In fact, their journey, they might actually be behind where you are, and they might not actually have evolved as much as you have as a soul.
Mm-hmm.
So he urged all of us that were holding on to things from our parents to, instead of seeing them up here, you're my parent, I looked up to you, that you're really, they're
Yeah,
no further along than you are. And in some cases, they're actually further behind you are on what they have to
yeah,
learn.
yeah.
And
You,
and what you said is just totally coming to that place where you can do that. And wow.
there's a school of thought that says that you choose your parents before you come here.
Mhm.
And when I heard that statement, I was like, why the hell would I choose these two people? Why would my soul choose these two people? But I recognize now in this space, in this time and moment, that had I not had the parents that I had, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. These people caused me to go deep within and to find me because I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
And so I had to find myself and I had to find my own inner peace. And when I opened myself to finding, searching for all of that, that's where the amazingness happened in my life. As soon as I released them and realized these people were actually a gift.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I recognized that they were a gift.
and it takes
Yeah,
so much spiritual growth and such a strong place to come from to say they were a gift.
they were. They were. And I continue to learn from both of them. They both passed away now. And when I rewind, because sometimes your greatest learning can come not sometimes in the moment of when things happen, but when you rewind things and you reframe it, you
Yeah.
look at it from a new aspect. And I'm like, wow, I was learning something. And now I realize why I'm me today.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
And I can breathe.
And you can breathe. You
Yeah, I can breathe. Once I released all that pain, I'd suffered for over 30 years with a severe back pain. And the moment that I started forgiving was the moment the back pain went.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. All of it disappeared when I genuinely, genuinely took them from in me. And I just thought, you know what these people going through had nothing to do with me. It wasn't even my issue, and that's just, honestly, there is so much to this jigsaw, so much of that caused my healing, so much, so much. We'd be here
Wow.
all day.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like speechless. It,
I'm just in a wonderful space inside out today. And that's why I choose to speak about forgiveness, because forgiveness for a lot of people, it goes on the back burner. And a lot of people, when they hear about forgiveness, they automatically start thinking about religion. Forgiveness doesn't have anything to do with religion. It's
yeah.
about your own inner release. But because a lot of people have been taught that it's connected to religion, they run away from it, you
Yeah.
know. But forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person. You're not letting someone off the hook. You're actually letting yourself off the hook,
Yeah.
when you choose to forgive. Forgiveness is self-love. And that was the thing that I actually had to start doing, is loving myself. That's how I got to this journey, was actually because I didn't love me. I thought I was ugly from the inside out, and no one could tell me otherwise until I met Iana Van Zant in the
Uh-huh.
book
Uh-huh.
and Maya Angelou. And that set me on a catalyst where I discovered Louise Hay,
Oh, yeah.
all these amazing people. I came home, and not long after I came home out of prison, I went on a Louise Hay course. And so I just
Oh,
started
love
this
Louise.
amazing, amazing journey of self love and self discovery first, and then when I could look at the person who looked at me in the mirror and love that person back, I just was like, to hell with everybody else. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm in my happy place. And if you want to judge, that's your business. That's your problem. I'm not making that my problem.
Wow. That is Louise Hay's work has definitely influenced me as well, and I had to go through that. And it's a total game changer when you look in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror and instead of going, ooh, this or ooh that, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
imperfect, I'm unlovable, that you're just like, I'm awesome.
Yeah. I loved Louise Hay. May she rest in peace. She was an
Mm,
amazing, amazing woman who
mm,
was just in time for her
yes.
time.
And we're grateful and we're blessed that she did that. Her work is still, that Hay House is
Yeah.
still available, and that her work is still
Yeah.
available and accessible because it's
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah, yeah. I have some amazing people who coach me, via YouTube. People like Les Brown,
Uh-huh.
um, Eric Thomas. I'm influenced by so many positive people, but even people within my community, people who loved me when I was being a battered child, you know, people who cared for me, you know. So I know that I didn't have to look at my mother and think that there were no good women in the world, because people who were not connected to me picked me up and bathed me and healed my wounds and loved me just because they loved me. So I know there were good people, and that gave me an intention somewhere inside of me to be a good person back in the world, to be the woman that they were.
That's powerful because we can spread that joy and that love and that caring because we don't know who has caring and love at home and who doesn't.
Yeah,
And that, like you said, just those acts of kindness and other people loving you
yeah,
helped you along to when you didn't have any of that in your life at
yeah,
home.
yeah, yeah. I've been blessed, even when I didn't recognize it, even when I didn't appreciate it, you know.
Yeah.
When I rewind, as I said, go back into my memory, look at it again, it
And,
was always there.
and look at it from a different
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been an amazing journey thus far. And I mean, I'm almost 60. I'm 60 next year. So my journey has been a big journey.
Wow.
But I celebrate my life, and that I am here for a reason. And if this is the reason, so be it.
Wow. That's so powerful. You are so amazing. It's such an inspiration, Audrea. It's such an honor to talk to you.
Thank you for the invitation to share your platform. I'm truly, truly, truly honored.
And
It's the gift. Shame
I
is
am grateful too that that Dr. Ava put us in touch because that was
bless her.
yeah, she's like, "Oh, you need to talk to Audrey." And I'm like, "Okay." And I was like, "Yes, I do. You were so
And a rocket story. Chung!
right."
But I really want people to understand that if people out there angry and then don't get it twisted, I know that. I said it to you the other day. Little crap, medium crap, big crap, small crap. Whatever's happened in a person's life. So don't look at me and say, oh, wow, she's gone through so much and your stuff is only small. Release your small stuff. If it's small, just release it, let it go. If it's not serving you, let it go. Because if we don't release it, what we do is we're building our own prisons, brick
Yeah.
by brick, with our own anger and unforgiveness. You
Yeah.
know, release yourself, release yourself. Just, release yourself. And, if you need support and help, I'm known as the forgiveness godmother. You need that kind of support, please come to me. I'm willing to put my galoshes, I think that's what you call them in the
Yes.
States. We call them Wellington boots in the UK. I'm willing to put it on and I'm willing to get the spade, the shovel, and we'll dig together right down and get it out. We'll take the root of it out.
Yes.
I ain't going to put a band-aid on it. Forgiveness work is not the prettiest, most glamorous work, but it's rewarding. And it's stuff that I love doing. I love digging deep.
Yes. So Audrey is kind enough to offer a conversation with you to help you with that. And there'll be a link below in this video to help you to get in touch with her. And so don't sit in your suffering. Don't sit in your poop. Don't sit in the unforgiveness and the anger and the resentment, because there's a whole life, as she's proven, a whole life waiting for you outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
can't release that on your own, because we both know it's really not easy to release on your own, get the help. You have the
Yes.
resources, and Audrey is offering help with that right now. I do that in my work. Get the help. Don't sit in it.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to let it go, get the help, because the rest of your life and all the things that you want out of life are waiting for you on the other side of letting that go. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I'll give you my website as well, where everyone can contact me. So I am offering a 20 to 30-minute discovery session, and you can access that by emailing me at audriejoseph@gmail.com. Please access it if you want to get onto the road of just healing and not feeling uptight and feeling sick. You may have ailments in your body, and it may be because you're holding on to unforgiveness, because unforgiveness shows up in your body as so much different illnesses.
Yeah. Cancer, arthritis.
Yeah, yeah. It's been
Back
proven
pain.
scientifically.
Yeah. I will make sure that that link is available right below so that everyone can take advantage of that.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Audrey, thank you so much for your time today and your inspiration and the tears.
Oh my goodness. They're just what they are. They're what they are. They
Yeah.
are what they are.
Those are healing drops from healing drops.
Yeah, sure. And I need to let everyone know before I go that yes, now I do have a relationship with my children. They are grown. My eldest son is 40. We have the most fantastic relationship. So just in case someone wanted to know, so what happened to the children?
Yes. So that is good to know that she does have a great relationship with her children. And also, if you're watching this and you're in a position where you don't have a relationship with your children because of whatever in life has split you apart or driven this wedge, this work that Audrey does, that can help heal those rifts as well, right?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
I'm there. I do family forgiveness sessions together. So I do them all. I do couples as well, like if couples are split up and they're not amicable, and they're in this Yeah, I do that as well as the one-to-ones. So call me.
Wow. All right. So everyone take advantage of that if you need it, because this is an amazing resource. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.